Friday, May 9th. I'm your host, Daniel Hill, and this is the weekend edition. Today on the show, we're going to hear some updates from the social media platforms from the IAB New Fronts event, which has been held in New York City over the past few days. This event is for qualified brand marketers and agency professionals. So it's all about advertising, and Meta had some updates about both Facebook and Instagram, which we'll get into. Additionally, there are some TikTok features being worked on that you need to know about, and Ashley Coffey from the Coffey and Code podcast stops by to share the updates for what happened this past week in AI that you need to know about. All of that and more on today's episode. First, here's a quick word from our sponsors. Welcome back. Let's start with the TikTok news. TikTok is slowly rolling out a new feature called Creator Chatroom. When you have the option to start using it, it says, try Creator Chatroom to build stronger connections with your audience. When you click on it, it says you can create up to 20 chat rooms and invite up to 300 members each. And this seems to be a text-based chat room. I don't have a lot of information on this feature, but it seems to be very similar to Instagram's broadcast channels, except instead of just a one-way method of communication, it seems like there could potentially be more conversation and interaction between the people who follow you and the person who owns that chat room. I think this is an interesting concept because it's a way to get feedback from your audience about a specific product you're working on or a piece of content that you've made, but it doesn't have to be as public as a regular post or regular video on TikTok. So if you make one of these rooms, you can invite, for instance, your super fans to that room, or maybe the fans that live in a particular area. And then you can get that feedback from them about what content you're making, what they think of the work that you're doing, and you can have that in a little bit more private format, but still have group discussion around it. I think this is a very interesting concept. In other TikTok news, there is a TikTok Academy Small Biz Fest webinar series. I'm going to link to this in the show notes, but I think these are absolutely valuable and definitely worth signing up for. There are 4 webinar modules. The first, the New Commerce Blueprint, which is all about how commerce businesses can use TikTok to drive growth. The second, Ignite Demand with TikTok, talking about how brands can use TikTok for different verticals like travel, dining, and so forth. Get started with TikTok ads and unlocking performance through creative. This whole series is free. Again, I will link to it in the show notes, and I definitely recommend registering for these webinars. Okay, let's move on to some Meta news. At the IAB New Fronts 2025 event, Meta announced some new solutions for creators and brands. I'm just going to hit the highlights. First, in Instagram Reels, they're testing Reels Trending Ads, which is a new short-form video ad solution to deliver against the most trending creator-created Reels. They're also testing trends in Instagram's creator marketplace to show advertisers real-time what is culturally relevant and what's happening on Instagram. They're also beginning to test the Creator Marketplace API, which enables businesses to find and connect with high-quality creators at scale and then make data-driven decisions about the partnerships with those creators. They also announced new ad formats on Facebook and Instagram, including the ability to run partnership ads with one partner in the ads header and Facebook Live partnership ads. Also, they're working on video expansion on Facebook Reels to help advertisers unlock more performance from video assets and drive better outcomes. And lastly, they're testing video ads on Threads so businesses can expand their reach and engage with their audience in a familiar way across multiple platforms. I will link to the article about this from Meta. It has examples of all the things that I just briefly mentioned. If you are doing advertising on Facebook and Instagram, you're absolutely going to want to know about these changes. And now let's move over to some edits news very quickly. The @Creators account made a carousel with some of the updates that the edits team has been rolling out. None of these are huge changes, but I think they are important to just be aware of, so I'm going to go through them very quickly. First, the edits team has added text animations. So if you want to have words do different effects across the screen, like slide or stretch or be wavy, there are now 50 options to choose from. The edits team has also added in safe zones. Have you ever put text on a video and then you upload the video for the public to see it, and you realize that because of the words that are on Instagram, for instance, the caption or the location, it's hiding the words that you put in the video? Well, now in the Edits app, there are yellow lines indicating the safe spaces for you to put text on your video. And this is really important because you want whatever's happening in the video to be in the center of the frame, not to get cut off by the like button or the comment button or anything like that. Using these yellow grid lines makes it a lot easier. There are also 30 new transition effects in edits, 30 new filters that you can use in edits, and 11 styles of captions that you can use. Lastly, when you are editing the video, you have the ability now to pick which resolution and frame rate you want to use. So if you want to export in 4K with 60 frames per second, you absolutely have the option to do that. I will link to this post in the show notes so that you can see all of the updates for the Edits app at once. I think you are definitely going to be benefiting from these updates if you're using Edits heavily. Okay, we are going to take a quick break. When we come back, Ashley Coffey from the Coffee and Code podcast is going to stop by to share her updates from this week in AI. Stick around. Welcome back. Longtime listener of the show, Ashley Coffey, is here to give us the latest updates on what happened this week in AI with a particular focus on social media. Here's her updates.
Hello, everyone. This is Ashley Coffey, host of the Coffee and Code podcast. And thank you to Daniel Hill for letting me come in and share the AI updates of this week that you need to know about. So let's go ahead and dive into it. Lots to talk about over the last 2 weeks. And let's start with TikTok. Ireland's DPC fines TikTok $530 million for illegally sending European user data to China and orders it to bring such transfers into compliance within 6 months. This is interesting because it kind of confirms what we were all thinking, even though TikTok has repeatedly said they are not sending user data. Well, now there's evidence. I believe Ireland did their investigation for about 3 years. So the fact that this is happening does send a serious flag out into the public to let people know what's happening with user data. Another headline about TikTok this week. At a Manhattan event, TikTok executives tried to reassure advertising clients that they were, quote, absolutely confident in TikTok and in the future of this platform, end quote. And Meta is also making the headlines this week. The U.S. jury awards Meta nearly $168 million in damages from an NSO group in connection with a 2019 spyware attack on more than 1,400 WhatsApp users' phones. Whew, what a mess. And another Meta headline. Sources say that Meta is once again considering facial recognition for its smart glasses, such as the Meta Ray-Bans, and some other devices of theirs, after abandoning the initial idea over ethical concerns in 2021. Now, if we think about it, 2021 was a year before ChatGPT made its way into the world, and lots has changed since then. I myself am a wearer of Meta Ray-Bans. I love them. It works great for when I'm on the go and I need to be hands-free or take a photo of a whiteboard session after a client meeting. It's just really nice to have something on my face. It's less of a dissonance between having a phone, disconnect between myself and the person that I'm talking to. I enjoy it. However, I feel like there already is a misconception that people think that there's already augmented reality or a heads-up display happening in these glasses, and that's definitely not the case. But I'm interested to see where Meta goes with this. Microsoft. Oh, Microsoft. Microsoft shuts down Skype on May 5th, capping a remarkable 21-year run for a software that many say embodied the open internet and had 300 million plus users in its heyday. I myself am a millennial and I remember Skype. It took the world by storm, I would say, in the progression of chats and online communication. First, it was AOL chat rooms and, of course, emails, and then it was Skype. So if you're not 21 and you don't remember the world of Skype, go ahead and look up the Skype jingle. It will change your life forever. Speaking of Spotify, Spotify debuts a plays metric for podcasts that shows users and creators how many times people have actively listened to or watched an audio or video episode. I cannot understate how important this headline is because for the longest time, podcasting metric data, such as how many times someone has listened to an episode or a podcast as a whole, your demographic information, all of that information has been a black box for the longest time. And the fact that Spotify is starting to make this information public is interesting because that's also going to signal to advertisers to invest in the high quality, high performing, high volume creators because it's in their best interest for their advertising revenue versus maybe a creator that just started and has kind of low views or counts. It's just a competitive market right now in the creator economy and especially in the podcast world. So keep an eye on this. I'm interested to see what happens next on the data front. And speaking of advertisers, earlier in this segment, Snap unveils AI-powered advertiser solutions and sponsored Snap updates. So this was a really interesting rollout that I thought would be fun to feature here. So the social media platform also launched a new brand campaign called Say It in a Snap, highlighting its focus on authentic moments, which is interesting to see how they are trying to bridge the gap between the generational users that are on its platform. So we'll see what happens there. And that wraps it up for the week. Many more headlines, but those are the top ones. Again, this is Ashley Coffey. You can find me on Instagram at Ashley R. Coffey 89, ASHLEY R COFFEY 89. Hope to see you there and have a great rest of your day.
I will link to how to find Ashley online. Additionally, along with all the links for everything she talked about in that clip, you can find it all in the show notes. That's going to do it for today's episode. As always, thank you for listening. If we have never connected on Instagram, find me on Instagram at Daniel Hill Media. Let's chat. I'd love to hear what you think about the show, any suggestions you have for how I can improve it. I'm always down to chat to anybody who listens. I really appreciate you listening. Have a great weekend and connect with me on Instagram.
Let me tell you a couple things that you should know about me. A product manager but do not have a bachelor's degree, but actually that's factually a fraction of me. Another fraction's posting content irregular and irrationally. Still probably won't get a job at the Gram. They forgot, they don't know, or don't care who I am. That's why you never see me at the parties and events. My lack of followers must make me irrelevant. Don't have a course of book to sell to make a bag of grand. Not a social media marketer, don't represent any brands. Plain to see, don't have an agency, but I got a lot of spam. Just putting in my work without the glitz and glam. Won't catch me eating fish unless it's shrimp or clam. No six pack, no risk that there's a gym card in my hand. Don't have a full-time job, but I got a lot of plans. Stay plotting, dropping knowledge on TikTok and Instagram.